From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, June the 10th, 2025. Israel's Navy this morning hit Houthi terror targets in Yemen. The IDF said Israeli Navy missile ships struck terror targets belonging to the Houthi terrorist regime in the Houthi port in Yemen. These strikes conducted in response to repeated missile and UAV attacks on Israel. The Houthi port is used to transfer weapons and exploit civilian infrastructure in order to advance terrorist activities, the IDF said, also saying it issued advanced warnings to the population in the area in order to mitigate the risk of harm to uninvolved civilians, saying the IDF is committed to continue operating against those who pose a threat to Israelis. The Times of Israel said the strikes likely marked the farthest ever action carried out by Israeli Navy missile boats. The port is about 1,800 kilometers, 1,100 miles from Israel. Later this evening, a missile was once again launched by the Houthis in Yemen at Israel, sending Israelis in several parts of the country running for shelter of safe rooms and bomb shelters. The IDF said one missile launched from Yemen was apparently intercepted. And continuing its operations in Gaza, the IDF shared its forces' activity in the past 24 hours in the Gaza Strip, saying terrorists who disguised themselves as women while operating from a military structure of the Hamas terrorist organization were eliminated, and that weapons were located, including rocket launchers, used by Hamas and posed a threat to IDF forces and citizens of the State of Israel. Also noting that the Air Force hit dozens of terror targets in Gaza, including terror tunnels, weapons depots, and military infrastructure used by Hamas. And the IDF was joined by Israel's security agency, the Shin Bet, and border guard forces as they conducted a counter-terror operation in the Kasbah in Nablus in Samaria, the West Bank last night, arresting wanted individuals and seizing weapons. The IDF noted that while checking suspects, two terrorists attempted to snatch the weapon of one of the soldiers, and that as a result of the attempted weapon seizure, several bullets were fired, causing moderate injuries to one IDF soldier and minor injuries to 3 IDF soldiers. The 2 terrorists were killed. The president of Argentina, Javier Milei, arrived in Israel, meeting today with Israel's President Isaac Herzog, who thanked the Argentinian leader for his friendship and solidarity with Israel. Also noting Milei's unwavering calls and actions demanding the immediate return of all the hostages. Herzog said, "I call on the entire leadership of the free world to stand united and resolute and to declare unequivocally no diplomatic process can move forward until the hostages are released." He said, "We cry out for urgent action to bring all the hostages home." 55 hostages remain held captive by terror group Hamas in Gaza, now for 613 days. The U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control today announced that it is sanctioning 5 individuals and 5 sham charities, it wrote, located abroad that are prominent financial supporters of Hamas's military wing and its terrorist activities, under the pretense, it wrote, of conducting humanitarian work, both internationally and in Gaza. The Treasury said it is also targeting a separate fraudulent charity linked to the PFLP, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. Deputy Secretary Michael Falkender said Treasury will continue to use all available tools to prevent Hamas, the PFLP, and other terrorist actors from exploiting the humanitarian situation in Gaza to fund their violent activities at the expense of their own people. And several members of Congress joined Jewish leaders to request additional security funding in response to the recent wave of anti-Semitic attacks across the U.S. Senators Kirsten Gillibrand and Chuck Schumer, Representatives Gerald Nadler and Dan Goldman stood with Jewish leaders and other faith leaders yesterday, requesting that the nonprofit security grant program be robustly funded, it wrote, to keep communities safe, noting several recent incidents, including the murders of 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington. and the attack last Sunday in Boulder, in which 15 people were injured when Molotov cocktails were thrown at the local Run for Their Lives group calling for the release of the hostages. Gillibrand saying, since October the 7th of 2023, we have seen a disturbing rise in hate crimes across the country and at home in New York, targeted toward members of the Jewish faith. America was founded on the principle of the free exercise of religion. That means that every American has the right to live without fear of being attacked for their faith. And I am fighting to make sure that continues by robustly funding the nonprofit Security Grant Program. My message to the Jewish community is that I stand united with you against anti-Semitism now and always. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, June the 10th at 7 o'clock. ISGAP leaders Dr. Charles Asher Small and David Harris speak with Shai Davidai, Columbia Business School professor and leading voice against campus anti-Semitism. At 8, Justin Pine speaks with Rabbi Moshe Weinberger, exploring powerful insights from Chassidut on connecting with God, living with purpose, and navigating the challenges facing the Jewish people. At 9, Donniel Hartman is on L'chaim. At 10, it's Good Week Israel. At 10:30, an encore of the news. And coming up next, it's the ILTV's Insider. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, June the 10th, 2025. I'm Teisha Bader. Am Yisrael Chai.